There we go. Now we're live. Okay, I just learned something. All right. From my contacts, there's holy law, which Christians blow off. Oh, that's just the 10 Commandments. No, it's not just the 10 Commandments. There are 254 legal principles in the holy law, and I'll put that link down below again. And basically, the holy law says, do good, do no harm. And if you make a mistake, repair the damage and go back to doing good. That's what the law states, basically. But since 1871 until recently, until President Trump abrogated and nullified the United States corporation, we have been living under corporate statutes and not the Constitution. And so his insight has been that the Constitution needs to be restored. And when President Trump went to England, he took a treaty between the United States and Britain, and he said, we are no longer a vassal of England or the British Isles. This is no longer United States corporation. This country is returning to its common law, which is natural law. Common law constitution. And so we have three forms of law here that are interwoven, but nobody talks about it. Okay. Least of all, the law profession. Oh, they'll turn blue before they'll inform any of us the undergirding of the game that we are subject to, that we have to pay them fees for. Okay. Oh, you can tell. All right. But anyway, common law is built on natural law. And you can find an example of natural law in the Brehon legal system from Britain of 1,000 years ago. And the Mosaic law is also a natural law system, which is do no harm. Okay, the Constitution is based on a higher law of God-ordained rights, which enlarges rights and diminishes the possibility of predation and attack, which in this area of the universe needs to happen because we're subject to so many abductions and stuff. Okay. But the maritime admiralty laws of the sea are based on consent. And so if the church had any balls all this time, they would have been teaching their people, our people, okay, here are the laws of God, and here is what the laws of consent, how the laws of consent create outcomes for us. There are outcomes for us under the laws of consent that are written in the fine print, okay, that we have to look into. Okay, we already know that the banking system, the Federal Reserve, is built on usury, which is unlawful under the Mosaic law. Okay, we already know that laws against murdering people are abrogated all the time. We find reasons why we need to murder this bunch or that bunch or these kids or those embryos or whatever. And so what the churches need to do that they have never done is look at and make a comparison of holy laws against doing harm and for and promoting doing good, and comparing the outcomes of the maritime admiralty consensual process to holy law. For instance, the birth certificate scam, all right? Now, Under holy law, the people were not supposed to be numbered. They were supposed to live free. So why are we all saddled not only with an identity, but with a serial record of everything that they believe we have done or haven't done? Okay, it's getting to the point where if someone out of conscience says, no, I do not want that vaccine in my body because I already have a compromising situation with a congenital pulmonary or blood defect, I will never be allowed on another airplane. Not because I have an infection of any sort, but because the tests for broken cells. It doesn't test for virus. And I will always show a positive test to the COVID test because of the blood disorder I have. And so when the powers that be decide that you can't get on an airplane unless you can provide the document that shows that you have a negative COVID test, I will never be able to satisfy that, and no amount of money is going to make any difference. You see, there are huge differences between natural, common, and maritime admiralty laws based on consent. And this is why, whenever you initiate a relationship with a corporate entity, they give you all these rules, all these stipulations. Do you agree to this and 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 this? Okay. Now, it's my personal belief that we would all be better off if we never consented to deal with usury, never consented to deal with medical coercion, never considered or consented to deal with organizational corporate murder, serial wars, protection rackets, playing one end against the middle, divide and conquer. As Christians, what our job has been that we haven't carried through with is looking at how corporations behave and the outcomes that they actually create and judge them in alignment with holy law. And when corporations violate holy law, refuse to come into relationship with corporations. Now, is freedom of speech absolute? Not under holy law. Okay? And so if freedom of speech is not absolute, you have to choose the jurisdiction to which you will give your consent. It gets tricky. But these analyses have never been done by the people who call themselves lawyers, attorneys, or barristers. They have preferred to leave us, the people, absolutely ignorant, not discuss how one set of laws affects a different set of laws, and live on and suck money off of us to deal with our problems that they're going to fix for us, you see. And of course, the answer is that we must self-educate. Self-education is the answer to self-sufficiency. It's the answer to civil behavior. It's the answer to whatever is coming at you as a matter of consent. Will you consent to this? Will you consent to this vaccine? Well, I don't know. Will you consent to a relationship with Google? Will you consent to a relationship with Facebook? Because when you do, that history that has been generated in your name, which may or may not be correct, is attached to that birth certificate in all capitals that leaves you chattel cattle consumable product under the Maritime Admiralty system. The Maritime Admiralty system is not going to go away, even if and when Trump is allowed to remain as president, and if and when he is successful in transitioning from the Federal Reserve into the Nasera-Gesera system of economic currency and a new way of exchanging value. Another thing we're going to have to do, if that becomes reality, if exchanging value becomes an option and opportunity, and not just a normal everyday option that we have always had that we can rely on, we're going to have to create some new options for ourselves. We're going to have to network and create friendships and relationships among people who have the same ethos, the same belief in not doing harm, the same belief in doing good, the same value of industriousness and in taking care of our own, the same energy to get self-educated as the rich have for accumulating and hoarding value to keep it away from the rest of us. You see, we're going to have to all become self-educated. And for those of you who are parked in front of your TV and you're watching, okay, this is not going to be fun, but it's much more interesting, believe me, to take your own initiatives and self-educate and become what you want to see in the world. And that's what we're facing. This is not just a different political party. We're going to either slide back into the protection racket mafia, which is what we had since DARPA, Pegasus, and George Herbert Walker Bush Sr. We've had this neocon pro-serial war economy, especially since 9/11. But if we adopt the new worldwide currency based on gold and precious metals and actual resources rather than on debt, we're going to have to relearn and retrain ourselves. This is not business as usual. It's going to be a challenge, but you know, it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this pans out. All right, just wanted to bring up a topic that's going to make everybody squirm. I'm generally too good at that. Okay, Emily, Craig, see you later. Bye-bye.